It's quite a statement from Greg McElroy. This is the full quote. He says, if Hendon Hooker, this is the Tennessee quarterback, can continue to excel down the field while also managing great decisions in the pre snap, this offense has a chance with the pieces they've added on the perimeter. They've got Cedric Tillman out there, one of the best receivers in America, coming back. This offense could legitimately be unstoppable. That's the statement. That's certainly something. Seems a little bit aggressive to me, but I know where this is coming from. And Greg McElroy listens to Nick Saban and Kirby Smart and their lieutenants complain about the Tennessee offense and how dangerous it can be. That's what this is, all right? Because when you look back and you could make that statement about a lot of teams, and I do think Hendon Hooker is a really good quarterback. This is not me getting on here to run that kid down because he's done a great job at Tennessee. Uh, but it's a little bit like saying if the quarterback of any really good offense plays well, the offense will be unstoppable. But when you look back at what Hendon Hooker did a season ago, Tennessee lost 5 games. Now they didn't really lose to Purdue, and I feel like I have to say that every time, but they lost the game on the scoreboard. And in those games, he still was not bad. 63 percentage, his completion rate was 63%. Against the Dogs, it was right at 65. Against Alabama, it was 68. Against Mississippi, it was 65. And against the Gators, it was 57. They lost all those games. So he played what I would say is pretty well against Georgia, and they lost. 24 of 37 for 244 yards, an interception which really did hurt Tennessee, and a touchdown. He also had he was sacked quite a bit in that game, but he had 17 rushes for 7 yards. Against Alabama, 19. Alabama was not a great defense last year. 19 to 28, 282, 3 touchdowns and an interception. 13 attempts, 13 rushes for 27 yards. Not great. He ran all over Mississippi. Against the Gators, he had a hard time running. Against the Rebels, 17 to 16, 17 to 26 for a touchdown. He was sacked 5 times. The problem for the Tennessee Vols is not necessarily Hendon Hooker. Okay, Hendon Hooker can do a lot right, but if you give up 36 sacks in a season, you're in trouble. This is going to come down to for the Vols, which seems to be the team that a lot of people are picking to beat Georgia. This is going to come down for the Vols to protecting that guy. Stetson was sacked 14 times a season ago. 5 of them were against Alabama in the national championship game, a game they won. Okay, so Georgia took care of Stetson. More than half of their sacks a season ago came against Alabama, a defense that was good but expects to be better now. When you look at Tennessee's situation, Alabama sacked Hendon Hooker 3 times. Georgia sacked him 5. Now people are going to get on here and correctly say, well, some of those sacks are runs that just were a negative yard. What's too many negative yards? Just period. I mean, it's not a sack when a running back loses a yard, but you don't want to be second and 11. Like, it's not a great situation. But when you look at what this kid's done, 3,000 yards, 31 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, that's impressive. That is how you do it. You look at Stetson, 2,900 yards, 29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Oh, that's not that bad either, right? So, would you say the same thing about Stetson Bennett? I don't know. Probably not, because people are in love with Hendon Hooker, and he's a really good player, y'all. I'm not saying he's not, but the statement from Greg McElroy again, this offense could be legitimately unstoppable. It's hard to digest. And he knows a lot more about football than I do, but I know I've watched plenty of football, and offenses get stopped. They just do. And when your offensive line is giving up that many sacks, that's a problem. I mean, you don't want a situation where one player has to play that well. I mean, again, he says if Hendon Hooker can continue to excel down the field while also making great decisions pre-snap, this offense has a chance with the pieces they've added on the perimeter. This offense has this offense could be legitimately unstoppable. I mean, I don't know. He goes on to say, partly, we've talked about Tennessee, what Tennessee has to do better run the football. He says, in the passing game, I'm not concerned about it, partly because I like Hendon Hooker so much. Expect him to have a huge leap this year. Remember last year, it was in a quarterback competition. At one point, he was number three in a three-way quarterback derby. Well, that's not good, right? Well, when he was given a shot, he made the most of it. Now he's not looking over his shoulder. He's purely looking ahead, and you can expect him to take a leap as a starting quarterback and as a leader here in year number two. I think you could copy and paste that with Stetson. I mean, the conversation is the same exact thing. Now, I don't think Hendon Hooker has accumulated the amount of haters that Stetson has in his own fan base, but give it some time. They'll be there. Make sure you're picking up DAWGSTRUCTION today. We are running out of the 2022 yearbook. It's problematic because I only ordered a particular amount and we have fewer than 10% of them remaining. You pick them up today, they get mailed out, okay? You get DAWGSTRUCTION today, you get this for free. If you just want the 2022 preview, make sure you're ordering it down below. The season's almost here. You do not want to miss out on these, okay? This is going to go away. Order it today. This is not going to go away. If you don't have it yet, though, you're missing out. We can take a look at the Tennessee game from a season ago. This is one of the best layouts that we had. I mean, this diagram and so forth. That's some great graphic design. But I do want to read one thing here, which is the beginning of this Tennessee conversation, which is why I know where Greg McElroy is coming from. He said Tennessee has shown its ability to score and do so quickly in the first 9 games of the season. That got the attention of Georgia's coaching staff heading into Knoxville for the second and final true road game of the season. Quote, that's like Kirby and Saban's kryptonite, one assistant coach said of the offense the Vols run. It can really be tough to deal with. So I think what Greg McElroy is trying to say here is that Tennessee can score, which I think most people acknowledge. My skepticism, and we should always have it, is that they will be able to protect him to the degree that they need to in the big games that they play. Tennessee is not ranked, which is hard to when you grew up in the 80s and the 90s, it is challenging to say, oh, Tennessee isn't ranked, and it makes sense. I do think they're pointed in the right direction. I also know that it's harder to get over the hump than it seems sometimes. And with the schedule the Vols have got, the Pitt game will tell us a lot, but they really could build momentum they could certainly be undefeated when they host the Gators on September 24th. Then it gets a lot harder. I mean, you got the Gators at home, you travel to LSU, you host Alabama, then a gimme game against UT Martin before you play back-to-back what could be your most important back-to-back of the season, which is Kentucky and Georgia. So this Tennessee schedule is backloaded. It used to be front-loaded back in the day. I totally. Greg McElroy is not an idiot. He is not hot take guy. I think he's gotten a little bit out of a little ahead of his skis there on this deal, just because you know it's tough to it's hard to make an offense go. 11 guys got to make it work. They got to do it all at once. The defense, this is simplistic and wrong, but the defense just has to react and tackle people. I mean, the offense has to execute. And there were plenty of times a season ago when the Vols did not do that. And I think for such a composed guy to have that kind of off the cuff remark, I'm not sure that that's going to age as well as he would like. But I think Hendon Hooker is going to be very good. I think Tennessee's moving in the right direction. I think if they lose to Pitt, that's a problem. But I don't know that I expect them to. That's at Pitt. And we'll know real quick with the Vols. I mean, if they don't beat Pitt, uh, then they're not what they're cracked up to be, period. And Pitt will have already played West Virginia. They are a 7-point favorite over West Virginia at home. So their line against Tennessee, which is not out yet, insofar as I can tell, um, Tennessee's probably going to be a slight underdog or a slight favorite in that game. Yeah, that game will tell us a lot about the Vols because, um, you know, we'll just see. But I'm not sure I'm a big fan of that statement because I know how this is going to be for Hendon Hooker if they don't protect him. And a season ago, they really didn't.